I don't feel bad because my body declined compared to the youngsters. Because when I jump on the mats at Master 4, I'm beating the crap out of everyone. Why am I gonna feel bad because I can't keep up with the freaking Mika Galvão? I shouldn't. It's wrong, you know? It's wrong.
Hello, friends. Thank you for tuning into this week's episode of the Mayn Idea Podcast, where today I have the pleasure of sitting down with Viktor Doria. If you want to see this podcast grow in 2024 and continue to hear from incredible guests, please take 30 seconds and leave a 5-star review on Apple or Spotify, as it helps tremendously with organic show growth and placement. The other way that you can support this show is by simply sharing it with a friend who loves jiu-jitsu, strength and conditioning, or human performance. Viktor Doria is a jiu-jitsu practitioner, father, and husband who received his black belt in 1999 from Sergio Sauza. Currently, Viktor operates Viktor Doria Athlete Management, where he helps some of jiu-jitsu's biggest names navigate the business side of the industry. To support this show, please check out the sponsors in the show notes. And now, without further ado, Viktor Doria. Well, Viktor, thank you so much for taking the time. 51 athletes on your roster, a history of BJJ. I know that you're a busy man, so it means a lot that you took the time out of your day to join me.
It's a pleasure to be with you. Abe, I respect so much the work that you guys do. Not only you, but every podcaster in the world should get a lot of respect from, like, when you guys invite us to talk on your show, to talk on your podcast. It's not only an honor, but actually you guys are helping me put out the message that I want to put across, and I just appreciate that so much.
Well, I'm more than happy to do it, and I really appreciate the kind words. I reached out to Vagner before this, and I said, "So, do you have any dirt on this guy? Any stories I should ask him to tell?" And he just said, "No stories, nothing funny, but you gotta ask this guy about jiu-jitsu. He is jiu-jitsu. He knows jiu-jitsu. He's been doing it for so long. He's truly decorated. The guy's a legit Carlson Gracie black belt." So I'd love to just take us all the way back before we get into all the business stuff and the mindset stuff and everything like that. Bring me back to the academy when you get introduced into jiu-jitsu. What was it about it that grabbed you and said, "We're doing this thing"?
Actually, I was thrown into jiu-jitsu because I used to play water polo, you know?
True drowning.
Yeah, exactly.
Really drowning.
Exactly, literally. So I was thrown at it because I used to play water polo, and I played really well. I made it the national team in Brazil. And at 17, that's 1993, I was in an altercation with one of the top players of my team, and we fought in the pool, and things got bloody, like literally bloody, and it wasn't really cool. And I got expelled from the team, so I had to leave the team for good.
Wow.
And I wasn't willing to go elsewhere because, like, I don't know if you guys know, but if you know, water polo is pretty violent. When people say jiu-jitsu or MMA is violent, I think it's funny because when you go inside the cage or when you go on the mats to fight the other guy, the rules are like you can break the guy's arm, you can choke him out, you can punch the face if you're doing MMA, you can kick the leg and sweep the leg, whatever you want to do. These are the rules. In water polo, you are there to score goals. Yet you get punched in the face, you get grabbed by the balls. Everything is going, under the water. It's crazy. So that's super violent. That's probably the second or third most violent sport that you have. It's ridiculous. So there's a lot of fighting. There's a lot of shit that you don't see underneath the water. And so with that, I I wouldn't be able to go to any other team in Rio where I used to live, where I was born and raised in Brazil. And I have a cousin. His name is Felipe, and he goes, Victor, honestly, man, you need to like channel all that energy that you have, and I know the perfect place. So he was training jiu-jitsu at Carlson Gracie in Copacabana, Rio, and he took me there. I don't know, a Tuesday. He took me there. I went there for the 3 p.m. class, and I met Master Carlson Gracie. I met his son, Carlson Gracie Jr., and I met Marcelo Alonso.
Wow.
They were on the mats, and when I saw the mat, like there was 40 or 50 filthy guys, like with like beige, dirty geese, looking awful. It smelled. It was hot as hell. That's my best recollection of the very first day that I went there. I saw that and I was like, man, I love it. It was funny because I was like, what is there to like here? But I like the Fight Club atmosphere. I like the whole underground stuff, the whole roots, and that made me like, okay, this is what I'm doing. So I went to the reception, if you can call it a reception. So this old lady was there. Her name is Marli, Chia Marli. It's called Aunt Marli. She used to be Carson's wife. They split, but she kept on working there, taking care of the business. And I paid for my fees there, and I bought a gi right there, and I started training. I was 17 and a half. That was June 1993 when I first started jiu-jitsu. From then on, it was like I fell in love in the first week because I had kids, like 16, 15-year-old kids, beating the crap out of me, yellow belts. And I was strong. I was always like 200 pounds. So when I was 17, I was 205 pounds, probably 205.
And you're playing water polo, so you're conditioned to the best of it.
Yeah, exactly. And made it the national team. So I was so this is a misconception, okay? So I had huge lungs. I wouldn't gas out in the pool, but I couldn't stand 1 minute on the mats. Because jiu-jitsu is so specific that I see a lot of people, I'm doing strength and conditioning and I'm conditioning myself with swimming, with running. Don't do that. Train jiu-jitsu. Because if you want to get good at jiu-jitsu and don't gas out in jiu-jitsu, guess what? You have to train more jiu-jitsu. Running, swimming, jumping ropes, whatever you want to do won't help you. Won't help you. But you don't know what you're talking about. Yes, I do. I have a degree in physical education and a master's in exercise physiology, So I know exactly what I'm talking about. And people still try to get like more stamina, more energy, more everything through other stuff other than jiu-jitsu,
Like at this day and age, you're seeing the tides shift a little bit in how people now a lot of people are training for the sport as these athletes are developing and getting faster and stronger and bigger. And you can have so this is my background too. I've been a coach for 10 years, and you can have a good engine, right? Like you can run a good 5K, you can do high intensity training, battle ropes, kettlebells. You have to train jiu-jitsu to have that all transfer to jiu-jitsu. You can't replicate that without actually doing the sport because it's so specific and involves so much isometric tension. And people, they waste their time a lot of times doing extra stuff, but it actually doesn't really serve them when they get on the mats. If they just show up more, then they would get that benefit.
I'll tell you what, it's even worse than that. They are not just spending time and wasting time. They're wasting their energy because you only have one gas tank. If you spend it half on running or swimming or doing whatever you want to do, you only have half a gas tank in order to, when you go to the mats. So you got to make sure that you have enough energy and then some in order to do your whole jiu-jitsu routine, your jiu-jitsu training every day and still have energy to do whatever you want. But the priority is jiu-jitsu, 1,000%. either gi or no gi, it doesn't matter. Because it's exactly what you said. To your point, it's so specific. It's so freaking specific that you can't mimic that anywhere.
Yeah.
You can try. People try doing. Oh, I'm gonna do battle rope. I'm gonna do like pull-ups with the gi and all that stuff in order to strengthen my grips. There is no better way to strengthen your grips than actually grabbing the other guy and training with him.
Yeah.
There's no better way of strengthening your legs in order to stand up to pass a guard than standing up to pass a guard. So if you want to do something, you put this guy, make him close his guard, and stand up 20 times. It's so much better than doing squats at the gym. Much better.
Hello, friends. Listen up for 60 seconds while I share my brand new show sponsor, Parry Athletics. I've been a trainer for over 10 years and worn every pair of athletic shorts from Lululemon and Rhone to 10,000 and Nike. And I can confidently say that there is no training short that matches the quality, durability, and style of Parry Athletics. What makes Parry special, besides their slick style rooted in jiu-jitsu, skateboarding, and Olympic weightlifting, is something called GSM, or grams per square meter, which refers to the weight of the fabric that you're training in. Unlike flimsy shorts that tear every time you touch a barbell, Parry is built to maximize performance by resisting damage and stretching to your thick thighs desire. Squat deep and feel the freedom. The shorts that I love are the 5-inch comp short, which are 160 GSM. They move well, look good, and transition between strength training and sparring seamlessly. Parry is also the only brand that I trusted to manufacture the show rash guards, which one listener hailed as, quote, the best rash guard they've ever worn. To snag your training shorts without breaking the bank, use the code Mayn, that's MAYN, at checkout for 15% off your entire order. Did you feel like when you're in Carlson's gym and these 15-year-olds they're mopping the floor with you, how did you handle that? Like, obviously, you're the type of guy at that point in your life who's going to get in a physical altercation inside of a water polo match, right? So you don't strike me as someone who's about to stand down, someone who's about to avoid a challenge. So you're here. Are you... like, is your mentality changing? Is your ego getting hurt? What was it like when you're dealing with that, with these new kids that are younger than you, smaller than you, but kind of showing you how truthful jiu-jitsu really is?
I'll tell you what, man, it's humbling.
Yeah.
It's the best word that I can use. It's humbling. It's a humbling experience because
I agree.
Everything you have, everything you know, every bit of energy that you have is used against you. Mm-hmm. Every bit of muscle you have is used against you because you have no idea what they're doing against you and you can't counter. You just can't counter. You just hope for dear life. You try to grab them and hope for dear life because it's like they own you because they know how to go to your back and they know what to do there. And even if they gave me their backs, I wouldn't know what to do there.
Right.
Because I never trained jiu-jitsu. I was illiterate. I didn't know... I had no idea. I know how to punch a face and kick a leg, and this is natural. This is like easy, but that doesn't go on the mats. So in order to grab the guy and make him stay away when he's grabbing my gi and he's putting the De La Riva on my leg and like going to my back with his butt on the mat, and all of a sudden he's on my back and choking me out. What the hell did you do? Like, you were in front of me. Now you're on my back. What's happening here? And I didn't know. I said, man, I have to learn this shit because I felt useless. Even though I was strong, even though I was heavy, even though I was like an athlete, I couldn't deal with those kids. Yeah. And in 1 year time, not to say maybe 8 months, but in 1 year time, that was me in the blue belt doing the same thing to athletes that would show up. And in 1 year, I was a different human being in 1 year. So jiu-jitsu has this magic. Like in 1 year time, if you're training consistently, and if you're passionate enough, and if you really want to improve, it will change your life no matter what. Because You might not become a world champion. You might not even want to do that. You might be a hobbyist, whatever. Still, your self-confidence will do like this, because when you're in a room full of people and you look at them, say, these guys have no idea what I know. I can rip their heads off anytime I want. And it builds your, it's not that you're gonna do that, but just knowing so and being a self-aware of this new superpower that you have is like, my wife would tell me all the time, I feel so safe around you.
That's good.
And it's amazing. It is amazing because not only she knows that I know what I'm capable of doing stuff, but she sees that I transpire self-confidence in this, in a way. It's not that I'm bragging or no, it's just like, I know what I'm capable of. I don't have to tell people. I don't have to show off. I don't have to do anything. I just know. And she knows that I know. So I'm aware. And she's aware that I'm aware. And she's like, okay, we're good. Yeah. I can, and I won't use it for nothing. I will use it if that's the last resort. But
that's one thing I've learned to respect from speaking with people like yourself or guys like Vagner, or even in my own experience of how much it's changed my whole outlook on on situations, on people, is it's the last thing you want to do. The more you know about it, the more you develop a skill set and understanding, the further away you want to get from any stupid altercation, because it's nonsense.
I can tell you right away, sorry to interrupt you, but I can tell you right away, it wasn't like that always.
Really?
It wasn't like that always. You just understand that it's not like, it's like having a superpower, like I can disappear. And then you start going to banks and stealing money. You know, and then you notice, okay, I'm being a criminal. So I'm being it's wrong. I shouldn't do that.
So wait, are you saying that as you developed the skill and you went, and I think you won world champions at blue belt, which was one of the first to ever do that, you had like too much bravado and you started to carry yourself like that and get in trouble because of it?
Exactly. I was like, man, if someone touches my girl, if they look a certain way, I would just say, what do you want? And I would just, and next thing I know, I'm punching the guy, I'm taking the guy down, I'm choking him out. And I did that many, many times in my early 20s, and I got my black belt at 23. So from 17 to 23, I did all that. And that was stupid as fuck. Right. And I noticed that I was like, okay, this is not what it is for. This is like, I'm doing it wrong. And I don't see that much right now, either in Brazil or here in the US or anywhere in the world, because back in the day, we used to learn self-defense. Like at Carson Gracie, we learned self-defense. So we learned, we used to train a no-gi, but with punches and open hands and slaps. So we would do that. And now people don't learn that in jiu-jitsu gyms. Most of the jiu-jitsu gyms don't teach that. I mean, if you go to the Valente brothers, if you go to Jorge Pereira here in Miami, you have some guys that still teach, and the Gracies, like Royler, Rillian Gracie here in Miami, all these guys, they still teach the roots of jiu-jitsu, which is amazing. But 90% of the gyms are either for hobbyists and competitors alike, so you don't have that basic, that thing that will make you, like in the early beginnings of Vale Tudo, before it became MMA, jiu-jitsu fighters had the best chance because we knew how to fight and how to avoid getting punched in the face and how to fight on the floor, and on the ground. So most of the other martial arts, they didn't know what to do. That's why we dominated the sport for so long. And
do you
jiu-jitsu
think
still is the most effective martial art, because any of these guys, they're winning at UFC or Bellator or anywhere else, they had to learn jiu-jitsu at some point.
do you think that this is a good evolution or a bad evolution for jiu-jitsu, that we're getting further away from combatives and self-defense being taught as a baseline of the curriculum? And that so when I talked to Robert Drysdale and I had a long conversation about this, and he was talking about the reality of combat and the functionality of jiu-jitsu, and that as jiu-jitsu becomes more entertaining and athletes have an opportunity to make money and you have these spectacle events, you get further away from the functionality of what actually keeps jiu-jitsu so special, which is that it fucking works when you need it to. So do you think that the school's changing the way that you just described and seeing less and less academies really instilling this infrastructure? Is that good or bad for the evolution of jiu-jitsu?
I wouldn't qualify it as a good or bad. It's just different. What happens is, back in the day, back in the Gracie's day, like back in Helio Gracie's day, he used to teach jiu-jitsu because that way you could dominate a much bigger, larger, heavier, stronger guy, being you a 150-pound guy, or even a woman, even a girl. So you could do that. But then jiu-jitsu tournaments came up, and then now you're using jiu-jitsu against someone that's using jiu-jitsu against you. So when they say, oh, but nowadays people come and say, oh, but the big guy and the small guy, there's no problem, because jiu-jitsu is all about leverage and the small guy beating the big guy. Okay, the small guy that knows jiu-jitsu beating the big guy that doesn't know jiu-jitsu. Because if you have a much bigger, larger guy, stronger guy that knows jiu-jitsu just as well as you do when you're like half his size, guess what? You're gonna get your ass handled to you.
Shout out Mighty Mouse, though. Shout out Mighty Mouse. How sick was that?
But then we're talking a special kind of athlete. Then you have
the best
fighters
in the world.
And fighters. Yeah. Exactly. When you're the best in the world at anything, you're a different specimen. Yeah. You believe what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Like if
totally,
you have,
totally.
Yeah. So if you have like Vagner, for instance, Vagner is the different. Like we're talking about Vagner Rocha. Vagner is a different beast. A different beast, because he's so experienced in the octagon and in MMA, and the grit that he needs to have, he transfers that into the grappling matches, and that's what you see, like a 41-year-old guy beating the crap
against
out
Luke
of
Griffith.
25-year-old kids, 23-year-old kids. Yeah. They are twice his size, twice his weight, and he's still like men-handling them, like literally men-handling them, and there's
such a good match.
There's some breaking news for you. He's going to fight a very, very tough guy in May 10. On May 10. Yeah, we just made it happen.
Or
yeah, I will say, because they're gonna announce it in probably 3-4 days. So when this goes on air, this is probably being announced. If it's not, it's breaking news for you. Wagner's fighting Nicholas Meregali, May 10.
No way. Where for UFC?
For who's number one?
Fight Pass. Oh, at WNO.
Yeah,
dude. Wow.
Yep. We just made it happen last week.
What are your thoughts on that? I asked that kind of tongue in cheek, because obviously you're Wagner's homie, you're his manager, you know this guy very well. I'm sure you respect Meregali, but what do you think about this match?
Okay, so it's a different match for Meregali. It's of course he is the favorite. Of course, Wagner is the underdog. That's 1,000%. Nicholas is bigger, stronger, younger, taller, everything. He has everything on his side. But the thing is, he never fought anyone not even close to who Wagner is. He never fought a guy with so much grit, so much experience. Yeah, he fought Cyborg. Right. But he didn't beat Cyborg. in regulation. He beat Cyborg in overtime, EBI overtime, which sucks. The worst rule set ever is EBI. Like I would unless it's for a lot of money and they want to make it for money, I would never put any of my athletes again in an EBI contest because I just despise that rule set. Doesn't have anything to do with Eddie Bravo. I love the guy, he's amazing. But the rule set sucks so bad. That overtime rule set, it's horrible. The coin toss in the middle of the fight, it's just nonsense after nonsense after nonsense. It's horrible. And thank God that UFC Fight Pass stayed away from that rule set. They changed the whole thing, and now they're in a completely different rule set, which is good. And the less I see a EBI rule set in tournaments, the better. But yeah, so Cyborg lost to Meregali, but Meregali couldn't do anything in regulation. He didn't do anything. He didn't sweep. He didn't pass his guard. He didn't take him down. Cyborg couldn't take him down either. He pulled guard, actually, Meregali pulled guard, but Cyborg couldn't pass his guard. So it was like completely even. And then when he went to the overtime, they started in each other's back, and none could submit. And then when they started in the armbar, then Meregali could submit him.
Right.
But Vagner is still different from Cyborg. Compared to Cyborg, Vagner is still different because Vagner brings all that grit from the octagon, all that grit from training years and years of MMA, and being a lighter guy. And now he's heavier. He's 200 pounds now, so he's stronger. He's an old dog, but he has so much grit inside of him. He has so much will inside of him, and to his favor, Meregali is used to talk his way into getting under people's skin, but Vagner is a thick-skinned mofo. You can't just you can't tease the guy. He does not care. You can talk whatever you want to talk about him. He's gonna go after you. He's gonna talk to you during the fight. He's gonna laugh at your face. He's gonna smile and say, "Hey, this didn't work. Try it again." And that if you're not mature enough, which I don't think Nicholas is yet, it can get into your head. And Vagner is you're saying that Vagner will beat Nicholas? No, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that he might be the one that's gonna get the closest to, if not happen.
If you can reflect briefly on these two people, Vagner and Cyborg. You know them both personally. You're friends. You've trained with them for a long time. You physically felt the pressure of each of these two people, and they're incredibly decorated, accomplished athletes. They're ferocious. Everyone's going to watch when they're on the mats. What is it about these two people that make them special and still competitive at this age?
A lot of passion, like I haven't seen anywhere else. I haven't seen anywhere else, and the will to overcome challenges and to overwhelm people. Like they just know that they can still do it. They take care of themselves. Both Cyborg and Vagner, they have a very they carry themselves very, very peculiarly. Like they really take care of their bodies, of their health. So they're always super healthy. They don't drink. They barely go out at night. They have a very peaceful life. Each of them, especially Vagner. He's because Cyborg is he's single now, so he doesn't have a wife or anything like that. But still, he takes care of a lot of his body. He's gonna do 80. He's 43.
That's incredible.
And and it's ridiculous. And if you watch ADCC, last ADCC 2022, what he did to Viktor Hugo. Viktor Hugo is one of the toughest guys out there, and much larger than Cyborg. Right. And he beat the crap out of him. He beat the crap out of him. It was impressive. And so, to answer your question, it's just the way they carry themselves outside of the mats and their work ethic with teaching and training. and they know that they can't go. Like Cyborg used to go to the gym and lift a freaking house of like he wants to be a bodybuilder. I don't even know.
Right.
A power lifter. And now he understands that he can't do that anymore. So he's working out smarter instead of harder, which, is just, but that's easy. Yeah, but easier said than done. People show up at the gym. They want to show off. They want to put as much weight as they can. They want to look good on the mirror. And that's not their case, so they're doing it very, they're very driven to the task. They're focused on the task ahead, and to Vagner, I would say he's only pushing his limits to this until this day because his dream is to win ADCC.
Yeah.
And he won't stop until he does that.
It's got a drive. That's some drive, man.
It's a crazy drive. It's a crazy drive.
I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this too. I know that when I bring stuff up like this, I know what the sound bites go to, and I know what people say, because I go, the elephant in the room is that these guys are old and they use steroids, and I use that as a blanket term. But when Vagner and I had a conversation, he's extremely transparent. He's like, look, I work with my doctor very closely. My doctor recommends testosterone replacement therapy. I'm 43. Yep. I take it. I adhere to his dosage. I do what he says to do. And I work out. He's like, look at me. I don't look like I'm cut from stone. I'm not a bodybuilder. This isn't, I'm not juicing up so I can get on stage at IBF Pro bodybuilding competition. I'm just trying to stay active and live here. On top of that, ADCC is not a regulated event. They don't use USADA testing. So you can kind of assume that every athlete's going to take whatever advantage they can to the best of their ability. Some people are going to claim that they don't, right? And that they're 100% clean. We will honestly never know unless there's a governing body that's testing this kind of stuff. What are your thoughts, knowing what you know about supplementation, your history in the marketing of supplementation, working in that business before, having friends that are in their 40s that are still top competitors? What are your thoughts on that, on steroid use, supplementation, and how it plays into jiu-jitsu? Should we care about this at all?
I'll tell you what, I respect a lot whoever, I mean, it's just, for me, it's so, I don't even know where to start where to begin, because it's, for me, it's so simple. Like, you're a professional athlete. You have to do everything that you can to perform the best way possible, period. Mm-hmm. But Victor, if the competition doesn't allow you to use certain substances, then you don't use it. You shouldn't use it, because otherwise you're going to get caught. Like it happened to Cyborg, it happened to Vagner, even though Vagner wasn't tested at all. Right. But he was open about it, as you said. So I don't, how can I judge? It's like judging the guy. Okay, I'm not dating anyone now because I'm focused on the tournament. I want to accumulate the most as much energy as possible. So I'm not dating anyone. I'm not drinking. I'm sleeping at 7 p.m. and all that stuff. So taking whatever they want to. Oh, but these are forbidden substances, the prohibited substances. No, they're not. As you said, ADCC doesn't regulate. Who's number one? UFC Fight Pass. All these professional events. They don't care. Actually, I don't know if you remember the Pride days back in the day.
Yeah.
They would encourage you.
Look at Wanderlei. Look at Wanderlei Silva. Just look at him.
They would encourage you. They would put on a contract. We do not test for steroids. Meaning, you take whatever you want. We're going to love to see you huge and strong. Oh, but this can kill you. No, it cannot. No, it cannot. It won't kill you if you do it the right way, like Vagner said. Like Cyborg does, like I do. I take my testosterone. I'm not, and the TRT thing is so hypocritical. I hate to say that. People ask me, oh, so you do TRT? No, I take testosterone. Why do you have to use the term TRT? Like,
I think it's just what people know. I think a lot of times people don't actually know what they're saying. They just say what they heard.
I'll tell you what, man. It's the way people. It's the way people want to say they're doing a thing that is like, okay, my doctors. I take testosterone to the levels that I need to be at, and that's it. I don't sugarcoat it, saying that, oh, I do TRT because it's like I'm under a treatment, and no. I was under a treatment I started taking steroids in 2020 when I was 44. My testosterone levels were 270 something when I went to the doctor, and he said, "Man, you don't look good." And it's not only your testosterone, your luteinizing hormones, your everything was wrong. Estrogen, everything was wrong. Everything there was to be wrong was wrong. So for 1 year, he started giving me a lot of stuff that I was getting in, like, so I became a different human being after 1 year. And then he started cutting. Okay, so you don't need the growth hormones anymore. You don't need the estrogen anymore. You don't need this. You don't need that. And now all I take is testosterone. And there's another thing that I have to take in order to not allow it to, I forgot the name of it. It's Danazol. So there's two things that I take, and I'm completely balanced. I do my blood work every quarter. Every quarter, I do my blood work, and I see everything. And it's been steady. Like my testosterone is at 860, 845 every test. So I'm optimized.
Dude, 200 is like,
I was 270 something. And for 1 year, I'll tell you what, Abe, for 1 year, when I started taking, for 1 year, I didn't feel any difference. My numbers were getting better, but my body wasn't recognizing those levels. So I wasn't operating in my full capacity, even with the numbers up there. It took a year or so to get to the level where, okay, now my body understands that everything is coordinated. It's like an orchestra. The numbers are all in place, so you can push your limits a little further. And then I started doing that, and my body started responding. And that felt amazing. But if I show you a picture of 2019 and a picture now, you are not going to see a lot of difference.
Right.
I've always been shredded. I've always been strong. I've always been healthy, but my levels were terrible. So with low testosterone, with crazy numbers of other hormones, you are more susceptible for getting sick, for like your immune system is depressed. Everything is bad. And now, man, I don't get sick. I don't freaking get sick. My body is and I'm 48. You know, I just fought at ADCC trials in Brazil.
How did it go?
With the kids. I mean, I lost like two years ago. I fought and I got third. So I was the oldest ever to get a medal in ADCC trials. This time I got a very strong stud, and I end up losing by decision. He was 27, 28 years old, 230 pounds, super strong. But we ended up even, and they gave the decision to him, which I don't complain. I think it was like he was a bit better, and I just couldn't do it. So, but I felt great at 48. His father was younger than me.
Well, you bring up a really important part, and I always try to drive this point home whenever people are listening, is that whether you should or should not take anything, it comes down to your individual blood work. Like, you have to have a relationship with a doctor, and you need to be doing your blood work.
1,000%.
I had an athlete at our academy the other day go, "Hey, Abe, my testosterone levels are blank. Should I be taking steroids?" And I said, "Look, I may know a ton," or not. He said, "Should I be taking testosterone?" And I said, "I may know a lot about strength and conditioning, and I may know a lot about how to prepare your body for sport and how to supplement properly to do that, but I am absolutely not a doctor." That's a question that you need to go have a conversation with a doctor about. Do your blood work, find out where your levels are at, and then make decisions based on that. And I think that that's an important part to consider. And it's good to hear that when you make these choices at 48 years old, right? When We age, our bodies change. We can't put up the same intensity that we could when we were 20. That's just fact. As much as we would love to think that's not true because we've dedicated a lifetime to being active and healthy and eating good foods and training hard, it's just not the way it is. And you got to make those decisions with a professional because they know. Yeah, and that's how you move forward.
Okay, so you know how they call blood tests, like doctors call blood tests? They call it complementary, not complementary, but is it complementary? Exams? Is it like in order, like, so the first thing they do is talk to you. They talk to you and you tell them, hey, I'm not sleeping well. My libido is down. My wife is complaining. I'm always tired. In the middle of the day, I want to take a nap. Like I don't have drive to go to the gym. I'm not working out. And okay, so he already has a diagnosis. The doctor already knows what's going on. Now let's just see the numbers. I already know that there's a lot of wrong stuff, and I kind of know what is wrong, but I want to see how wrong it is, how bad it is, the damage, you know? So those exams, so when you say, oh, do your blood work, no, go to the doctor. Go to the doctor, talk to the doctor, and he's going to ask you for specific exams, specific tests that will show him how bad it is.
I know. Sorry to interrupt. I know what you mean. Regarding the blood test, you're right. There's damn it. Now I can't remember. I can't think of the word.
Yeah, I don't remember the word.
They'll just give you, if you just go to your doctor and say, I want to do my blood work, they'll give you a blanket panel where they send in, and it's like the same for everyone, but a lot of them don't test for testosterone,
LH,
like certain,
all this stuff.
Exactly. So you have to, sorry to interrupt you, but I now know exactly what you're talking about.
No, you're 100%.
You have to have this conversation with them.
Exactly, because they know what they're going to, like, okay, I see from our conversation that some of your hormones are kind of off. Mm-hmm. This, and that. What else do you have to say? Oh, I've been like, I feel kind of sad and this. Okay, so the dopamines. So he starts diagnosing you right there, and now he's going to assess the damage,
right? Which
is quantify how bad it is. He knows it's bad. He knows what's bad. Now he wants to know how bad it is. So that's when they ask for the exams, for the blood test. So when you tell your friend, go do a blood test, don't tell him that. Go to a doctor and talk to him. And he's gonna ask you whatever he needs in order to make sure that you not only, okay, you're feeling bad, but we're going to know exactly how bad, and we're going to know exactly what to do and the numbers that we have to achieve in order to fix you. And it's going to take time, and it's going to take money.
Do you think there's any male athlete on the ADCC circuit in trials or qualifying for finals that are 100% clean athletes?
How can I tell? I don't look at their physique. You know, that's a stupid thing. The stupid assessment that people always do. They look at, for instance, Fabricio Andrei Hokage. The kid looks, man, like a bodybuilder. He never took anything in his life,
right?
You know, and sometimes you look at other guys that were caught and you say, oh, man, this guy doesn't look like he's taking anything, because it's not how you look. It's how you feel and how you perform. Yeah. You know, and it's more like, okay, people, when they say you're taking drugs, you're taking steroids, they think of a bodybuilder. And the most important thing, look at freaking Lance Armstrong. Does he look like a bodybuilder?
No, but he's dope to the ceiling. Dude.
Exactly, because he's taking the EPOs, he's taking the things that he needs in order to perform on the bike. That's it. You know, so you're not the concept of people, when people say, oh, it's bad for your health, because they're thinking of bodybuilders, they're shooting their ass with a lot of shit just to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's not the case here. We're athletes and we're trying to perform. And
Dude,
we have certain drugs and certain procedures that you're gonna do that are gonna contribute to your performance and mainly to your recovery. It's not. I am not, Abe. I'm not stronger now than I was 4 years ago. I am not.
Right.
And I never needed to be stronger because I felt like I was always the strongest in my brackets. And I never took anything until 2020. So I was never, when the doctor asked me, but why are you lacking? I said, I'm lacking energy. I'm lacking stamina. I'm lacking will to live. I feel bad. And he goes, okay, I know what's going on with you. Let's see how bad it is. And then we assess the blood test. And he goes, okay, you're 276. You're testosterone. And then he explains me about total testosterone, bioavailable testosterone, and free testosterone, which was one of the best explanations I've ever had. And I understood because, like, for instance, total testosterone is like money in Switzerland. You have millions of dollars in Switzerland. Like if you have a 1,500 total testosterone number, but that doesn't mean you're feeling good. Because if you're bioavailable testosterone, which is the money that you have in Bank of America, that you can go to an ATM and withdraw some cash when you need it. Or if you want to buy a car, you have money in the bank to give the down payment. But still, if you have that number, good, but then you need free testosterone, which is money in your wallet. It doesn't help you if you have tons of money in Switzerland, tons of money at Bank of America, but when you need $50 to give to a freaking valet and you don't have it and he doesn't take card, then you're poor. Because you don't have any money there when you need it. So free testosterone, bioavailable testosterone, total testosterone. This is completely different. When people say, oh, my testosterone levels are amazing, I'm 1,500. How much is your free testosterone? 4, when the number should be 26, 25, 30, 22. So it doesn't help you if you have $1 billion in Switzerland and you don't have a dime in your wallet. You understand what I'm saying? And people don't understand these concepts and they keep saying, oh, the guy's testosterone must be through the roofs. That doesn't help you. Yeah. That doesn't help you.
Well, you hit on something interesting, like if you're competing at a high level then and now. So can you speak at all to what the feeling was? Because I agree, like looking at someone's physique is not indicative of what they're doing behind the scenes. There's people that naturally just carry a lower body fat percentage.
Yep.
There's people that naturally carry a higher one and they can be, look at Chuck Liddell, for example, when he was champion, at sometimes he was in the ring with like borderline a beer gut. I mean, your body composition just doesn't indicate your performance. So exactly. You're going to skew more one way or the other depending on the sport, of course.
Fedor.
A perfect example.
Yeah.
How did it feel for you competing without any kind of supplementation when you were younger compared to competing older but with this kind of supplementation?
Pretty much the same because I had great numbers back then. Mm-hmm. And it all comes down to numbers and numbers won't lie.
Yeah.
So of course, being more experienced, knowing some shortcuts in jiu-jitsu helped me a lot. So I got better as I got older, more technical and all that stuff. But if my body's capability to perform is diminishing, then I have to look at it and to treat that. Because if I want to keep competing, because every time I go to the doctor, I had 3 surgeries on my left knee last year. 3 surgeries. Every time I went to the doctor, he said, why do you still compete? And I said, because I like it.
Because I'm broken up here, bro.
I'm not really. Like, I like it. I don't need to. I just like it. I don't want to play golf.
Yeah.
I don't want to play poker. I don't give a damn about it. I like training jiu-jitsu, and I'll do that until I can't walk anymore. Because I like it. It's not, oh, but you're paying a high price. I'm not. I feel great. I feel energized. I feel younger because I'm among young kids every day. I love talking to my athletes. I love being around the kids at the gym. I I love the resenha, which is the conversation that we have after training. I would never change. I would never I don't want to change it for anything. I don't want to switch it for anything. I love it. And I'll still do that until I'm 70, 80, if I'm capable of it. And if I need to take whatever I need to take in order to postpone it the most, I will do it. Because it's my life, not yours. I don't give a fuck what you're talking about. Oh, you're a drug, but you're taking... Yeah, that's my life. That's called my life, my choice. My body, my choices. There you go. You know? That's how I feel about it. And I hate when people judge you because, oh, but he's full of steroids. No. I'm taking what my doctor told me to take in order to... I want to live the longest possible, the youngest possible. I don't want to live the longest and not be able to tie my shoes or wipe my butt. I want to do everything that I want to perform to my last day.
As you've aged and gotten older in this art form, jiu-jitsu, no matter how you do it, it beats you up. It's demanding. It requires effort. You have to be present. You have to be if you give your opponent an inch, they'll take a mile. So you're constantly, the back and forth is endless. And there's always someone in the room who on that day could have your number, right? It's just no matter what, especially when you're like yourself and you go into like Fight Sports Miami and you're not surrounded by hobbyists. You're surrounded by Vagner and you're surrounded by Victor Hugo and you got Vicente Luque there and like Dorino. I mean, the people that are walking in on the mats, these are not just dudes that do jiu-jitsu. These are world-class competitors who have been doing it forever. Is there any like mental struggle that you felt over the years as you feel that physical part of yourself naturally decline as it does a little bit and lose some of that engine just by the fact that you've been doing this for 25 plus years?
I didn't feel bad at all. Like I aged, and so did my the competitors that I compete against. Like that's why you have Masters 1, Masters 2, Masters 3, Masters 4. I'm a Masters 4. I see a lot of people that say, "Oh, I'm Masters 3, but I compete at Masters 1." Why? You want to make it harder? Why do you do that? Oh, but Cyborg is a Masters 3 and competes at adult because he's a freak of a man. He's a cyborg. I don't know many cyborgs out there, So he can do stuff that only he can do. He's a different type of animal. I am not like that, and I don't have that drive either. I don't want to. My dream is not to win ADCC. My goal is not to accomplish what I accomplished when I was 25. My goals are different. Cyborg has his goals. Vagner has his goals. I respect that. I don't have the same goals. Sometimes I want to compete, but sometimes I don't want to compete. And I listen to my body and I look at my business and I say, okay, this is not the time to compete. This is not the time to be training twice a day. This is not the time to be doing strength and conditioning. I have to focus on my work. I have a lot been. Last year, I had 23 international trips.
Damn.
23 international trips. So, you know what? I'm not gonna force myself into something and put a challenge in front of myself when it doesn't make sense. And my head doesn't function like that anymore. So to your question, I don't feel bad because my body declined compared to the youngsters. I would feel bad because when I jump on the mats at Master 4, I'm beating the crap out of everyone. So when people are like my age, between 45 and 50, which is my jiu-jitsu category, I'm still winning. I won. There you go. This is only Masters. World Masters 2016. This is 2017. This is Penn's 2018. I have double gold here. This is World Master 2019. This is World Master World No Gi 2019. This is World Master 2020. Penn's 2021 and Europeans 2023 last year. All gold medals. So in my bracket, in my category, I'm still winning. Why am I gonna feel bad because I can't keep up with the freaking Mika Galvão? I shouldn't.
Right.
It's wrong.
Yeah, if you can, that means that he's not doing enough.
It's wrong.
Right.
You know, for instance, Vagner trained with Mika. Mika got his arm. And then Vagner was like, oh my God. Say, yeah, bro, that's Mika. You shouldn't keep up with him. Cyborg trained with him in the gi. He took him down. Mika took him down and got his arm in like 5 seconds. Cyborg was like, what the hell just happened? I say, yeah, life happened. You're old and he's young. It's tough. I know.
Well, you bring up I like this view. Like you're kind of showing these lanes, right? You're like, look, that's not my lane. I'm not. Yeah, it's my goals are not Wagner's goals. My goals are not Cyborg's goals. And I think in a world where you're inundated with social media and other people's accomplishments and other people's best X, Y, or Z, it's easy to get sucked into feeling like you need to be doing things that you're not. And the reality is you got to stay on your track. You got to be consistent with the things that you're trying to accomplish and get them done. And if that means that you do Masters Worlds and you compete with the people in your age bracket, your division, you feel good and awesome, but you're crushing your business goals, your endeavors that you're doing outside of that, because that's what's important to you, then who fucking cares? But if you're caught in someone else's lane and you're trying to be the ADCC champion and manage all your athletes and X, Y, or Z, now you're spreading yourself too thin. You're not going to do anything well. So it's important to do that. I think that's an important thing to think about for people because you can feel pulled in so many directions. So
Abe,
I like that mindset.
You have to be honest to yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'm an honest person. I never cheated. Okay, but are you honest to yourself or are you cheating on yourself? Right. Or are you deceiving yourself? Like, because when you exactly what you said, when you set up unrealistic goals that will get in the way of your family, your marriage, your business, or your profession, you're being stupid. You're not being honest. You're tricking yourself. You're cheating on yourself. You're cheating on your own life and the people that love you. So I'm not gonna do that. Like, my goals changed because my life has been changing. So my goals need to change accordingly. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. Otherwise, I'm stupid. I'm trying to be the guy on social media. And you know what's the funniest? Okay, the coaches out there, they're all saying, oh, wake up at 4 a.m. Have your cold plunge. It's so...
If it works for you.
Bro, how many of the most successful people in the world had cold plunges? They never did. How many of them woke up at 4 a.m.? They never did. How many of them eat clean grass-fed bison every day? Or are vegans?
Some of them.
The most successful, very, very small fraction of them. Most of them eat very poorly. Most of them barely sleep. They go to sleep at 3 a.m., at 2 a.m., at 1 a.m. They wake up when they wake up, they have freaking like 20 coffees a day, and when they can, they eat a Big Mac. You know, and they work out when they feel like doing it, and they're not fit. So people idealize stuff that don't even exist because people are preaching online, saying that you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do that too, and if otherwise you're not going to be successful. And sheep are following this stupid trend. I want to know, Abe, from the coaches that are very successful. I don't want to know what they recommend me to do. I want to know what they did actually.
Social media is a horrible place to get advice from because it's all flavor of the week. It's flavor of the week. There's like, look, I personally get up every day at 5 a.m. I've done that forever. I love it. It's really good for me. And I like how I start my day. It's for me, right? That doesn't mean that that's the only way to skin a cat. I know people, friends of mine that are successful, they wake up at 9 and they crush it. That works for them. This whole dogmatic, like the only way to fucking survive is to wake up at 3 a.m., do a cold plunge, take a 20-minute sauna, take these 15 supplements, work super. It's like,
Come on, man.
That's an unrealistic, stupid expectation. And
It is.
you get further and further away from achieving the things you want, when in reality, it's quite the opposite.
And it's frustrating, Abe, because
you got to like
start...
reduce things down
exactly.
to a replicatable, small, consistent thing that you can do over and over again.
That's the word they just used. Consistency.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you wake up 5 a.m. twice a week and work out once a week and eat well twice a week. You have to acquire a lifestyle of waking up early, eating healthy, doing proper things, and you got to be consistent. So in order to be consistent, you might have to start lighter. You might have to
start with less.
Yeah, wake up at 7:30. You know, your day is going to be better, 20 minutes better. You used to wake up at 8, now you wake up at 7:30. Oh, because I need more hours in my day. Don't jump from 8 a.m. to 4 a.m. to 4:30. You're not going to be able to be consistent.
This is dieting. This is why dieting doesn't work.
Exactly.
It never works. It never works.
Because you cannot be consistent. You cannot.
They don't make changes.
The difference between the most successful people in the world and the ones that failed, they do the same things. But the ones that failed do it every now and then. And the successful people, they do it every day for years, for a ridiculous amount of time. So consistency is the key. That's what it is.
We spoke briefly beforehand, but you brought up such an interesting perspective on athlete management in a sport that from the outside appears to be making no money and is a vacuum of money, if anything, right? Like you can't be a professional grappler. You'll hear a lot of people talk about this.
Right.
From your perspective on the inside, having, an athlete roster of 51 athletes now that's grown exponentially over the last 3 years, can you talk a little bit about the business side of jiu-jitsu? Like, we're about to see ADCC 2024 is going to be the biggest ADCC event that's ever been put on. It's going to be spectacular. You're going to see a ton of athletes gain notoriety, exposure. They can begin to, if they haven't already, build a brand and a career for themselves off of that. What does this look like on the other side? What does it look like for someone like yourself who's actually making these deals happen, that's getting T's crossed and I's dotted, and putting athletes into arenas where they can make money?
So the landscape, it all changed a lot for if you compare to the last, 10 years. It changed a lot. But we had for instance, ADCC. Let's talk about ADCC. You said ADCC is going to be the biggest ADCC. It's going to be the biggest grappling event of all time. Mm-hmm. The last one was already the biggest.
Right.
The one before that was the biggest. So I'll tell you what, in 1998, first ADCC, it was you know what ADCC means?
Abu Dhabi Combat Club?
Combat Club. Because it's a place in Abu Dhabi.
Wow, if I didn't get that right, I'm fired.
No, because people say that it's a Abu Dhabi, combat championship. It's not.
It's a club,
it's the club.
Everybody.
It's a place. Yeah. It's a place. It's a physical place in Abu Dhabi. And it used to the tournament used to happen there until 2001. So 1998, 99, 2000, 2001, we had the 4 first editions. And then 2 years, 2003 in Brazil, 2005 in freaking, LA, 2007 Trenton, if I'm not mistaken, 2009 Barcelona, 2011 England, 2013 China, 15 Sao Paulo, 17 Finland. So all the way to Sao Paulo, the shows, the events were like, The fights were amazing. The money was there. You were making $10,000 if you win the category. You were making $40,000 or $50,000 if you win the absolute. The super fight, you make $50,000, whatever it is. It was the same numbers all the way to Sao Paulo. The events, they weren't beautiful. They weren't glamorous. They were just 3 mat areas thrown there in a poor arena until Helsinki. I was there personally in Helsinki, and that one Didn't look much better than the other ones, but Mo Jassim, who is the main guy there, he was like, I'm going to do something different next time. I'm going to invest and I'm going to make it. And 2019 Anaheim was the very best grappling event ever. Like, was beautiful. It was amazing. And why did he do that? And why did it happen at that time? Because there was a guy that was coming out in 2017, and he made history in 2017, which was Gordon Ryan. He showed up at Helsinki and he won his weight class in such a amazing fashion. And then he went to Absolute and he made it to the finals, lost to Felipe Pena, and the rivalry was there. Yeah. So I think that Mo saw that, okay, if I have a very strong actor, a very strong person, a very strong athlete that can carry the name and he's able to to move people and to translate that into social media and the hype is going to be very real. So from 2017 there was a leap to 2019 in Anaheim, and the event was amazing, and it was all a Gordon Ryan show. Yeah, where he won his weight class and his weight class in a different weight class. He won 88 kilos in 2017, 99 kilos in 2019. And then he won Absolute as well. And then he faced off with André Galvão. And we had 3 years because of COVID. We had 3 years gap where they were feeding that super fight, which would be the fight of the century in grappling, Gordon versus Galvão. And that happened in 2022 when it was a Gordon show. He made, I don't know, he claims that he made over $500,000, $500,000 in that show with sponsorships and prizes and all that stuff. He gave away a car. I mean, why am I saying that? Because there's no denial. Gordon Ryan changed the whole spectrum of the show. Of the whole thing. People make more money now because of what he did. So we have people like Gordon Ryan in every sport. We're talking about Michael Jordan in basketball. We're talking about freaking Cristiano Ronaldo in soccer. We're talking about Tom Brady in football and so on. Like the Spanish guy in tennis, I forgot his name. I wouldn't say Djokovic because Nadal. Even though I love Djokovic, his persona is more quiet. Nadal is more of an expensive one, and so it's more like it. So you have the special guys in the special athletes in every sport, and Gordon Ryan is definitely a special one. You know, Roger Gracie, which for me is the greatest of all time, no question about it. Roger Gracie had a different persona. He was more quiet. He was more down to earth, more like himself. But still, he didn't do in the business what Gordon did. What
do you think it is about? So Gordon obviously is, aside from the Felipe Pena a while back, is undefeated. He's so arrogant, followed up by skill immediately after, right? From examples like giving the judges a submission that he's going to do and then doing that exact submission. I mean, it's such you can root against him because of the arrogance and you can root for him because of the confidence. So he's this very unique, special figure in grappling. How do you think, like, what has caused his growth to the point where he is? Like you said, I mean, he is an X factor for ADCC, for the growth of this event. 100%. It was, as you put it, the Gordon show, right? This is branding 101. This guy is crushing it. Yeah. Can other athletes achieve this? Like, you're starting to see Craig Jones is really taking this turn into leaning into his humor, leaning into his sarcasm, leaning into kind of this new character that he is himself with the podcasts he's doing and all the content. And he's starting to do that where he's goofy, backed up by skill, right? He's hilarious and funny, but he goes to Mexico and he wins karate combat. So these emergence of these two types of personalities are very different from each other, but they're also showing success. So what do you say to an aspiring grappler, someone who's in ADCC trials or trying to do this? What are like the key components for them to begin to actually make this something where they can really leverage their personality, leverage their existence, and become successful beyond just whatever the prize money may be? Because we know in the end, that isn't really where you make the actual money in the living. It's with endorsements, it's with deals, it's with everything on the outside.
Yeah. So, Gordon, what he did and what he still does, he's able to still do, is he's a very unique athlete. He dedicates more than anyone I've ever seen. I'm not friends with him. I have no relationship with him other than seeing him fighting like you do, and getting impressed every time I see him perform. And I respect his work ethic a lot. People talk about his persona, talk about him being one person in real life, other person in social media. That to me that's irrelevant. What catches my attention the most is his work ethics and the way he carries himself on and off the mats, and his self-confidence, which we were talking about that in the beginning. So his self-confidence is such that he is able to, because everything that he does, and I'll say to this point, Nicholas is kind of doing exactly the same. He's kind of mimicking Gordon, and he's being successful at right now, but it's just very little time. Gordon's been doing that forever, and the thing with this type of behavior and this type of positioning yourself is you're one loss away from getting effed, and people despising you. Right. Because if you're
Covington,
exactly, if you're still winning, people will have to. They will have to see your shit. They will have to follow you. They will have to. Okay, here's this guy posting this again, but yeah, he's winning, man. I have to take it because the guy is winning. He's saying how he's gonna win, and he's winning. So you have to take it. But then Gordon did that in such a marvelous way, in such an impressive fashion that you cannot ignore it. And not only that, it's a sport that became much larger, much bigger in the U.S. and thanks to him, the North American audience grew much bigger, and the no-gi audience. People say, "Oh, there's money in no-gi because there are Americans or at least non-Brazilians winning in no-gi." My biggest dream is that a North American, a non-Brazilian wins world's absolute in the gi, so that the gi grows also. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
because then you have a huge audience in the biggest market in the world, which is the United States, rooting for one of their own because they're in the top of the food chain, like Gordon is in no gi.
Right.
I wish Gordon jumped in the gi and made it in the gi as well. I don't think he can. Man. I don't think he can, but I would love to see more Americans supporting and rooting for and investing and more money. Because one thing I learned, Abe, wherever there is attention, there's where the money is.
Yeah.
If people are paying attention to this, look at that. If there are eyeballs, there's money there. So if he drew attention to his game, if he drew attention to grappling, if he drew attention to ADCC, that's why it grew. That's why it's a lot of money there, And the language barrier. Most of the Brazilians they can't cater to the American crowd because they know how to speak. I can speak English, but I am not American, so my vocabulary is not as good. My the way I talk is not like they don't relate very well. I know that. I'm aware of that, and I try my best to learn more, and to be able to communicate better to the American crowd, to the non-Brazilians, and that's what I'm trying to do. But like Gordon's a natural. Gordon is he's from here. He does what he does and cater to the public, to cater to the crowd. People love it. Has a larger than life persona. You know, like the 97 athletes in ADCC 2022 were all dressing the same. Gordon was different. Did you notice that? He was in orange when everyone else was in black or white. You know, because that was his party. And he knew it was his party. And he behaved like he was the host.
Yeah.
He was there. Like most of the athletes didn't even show up at the meet and greet. And he was there from the first minute to the last minute. People won ADCC and posted maybe 1 or 2 pictures. He posted 34 times in 24 hours. And you have to respect that, baby. You have to respect, admire, and learn from it. And I hope that my athletes look at it, instead of despise the guy, they learn from him. They understand the game. So some of my athletes are understanding the game of dressing up, talking in a different way, like positioning themselves and standing in a different way, and understanding how the game has to be played, because it is a game. It is a game. Let's stop talking about the martial arts codes and the respect and. Come on, man. I've said that before. Jiu-Jitsu in the U.S. was founded in invading academies and fighting other martial arts, and then UFC came out, and you know it wasn't about heritage and tradition and bowing, and no, it was like, I'm better. I'm gonna get your ass whooped right now. I'm gonna whoop your ass. You know, and okay, like Rory and Gracie used to show up at seminars, at karate or taekwondo seminars, and people would show a technique there, and he would say, okay, this doesn't work on me. He would do that in the late 70s, early 80s. He would do that in California, and he would go there and prove to the guy that in him that technique wouldn't work, because he knew a way of submitting the guy from there. And he did that. And when people say, oh, what do you do? Oh, come to my garage and I'll teach you. And then he had Chuck Norris. He had all these guys showing up at his garage and teaching jiu-jitsu. And then he went to Hollywood. If you watch Lethal Weapon 1, that fight between Mel Gibson and Gary Busey was all coordinated by Rory and Gracie.
It's one thing about sports marketing that I always find fascinating is that there are 2 ways to do it. Very few people, because of what you said earlier, can do what Gordon did. Gordon's whole shtick hinges on every match being won. If he has one match that he loses, all the people can flood in and choose to hate him and feel vilified and everything, right? But every time that he doesn't lose, it pushes that further and it multiplies the exposure.
Yep.
So you have guys, I use Colby Covington as the example because, like, I can't stand his whole adapted character that he chose to go with, right, for these fight promotions. That's just me personally. Some people love it, but it does create this division, right? So you're either tuning him to watch him lose or you're tuning him to watch him win.
You're tuning in.
But when he loses, it's over.
Yep.
Then you got a guy like Dustin Poirier, who's been fighting forever, and he's fought the best of the best, and he's a fucking dog, and he goes in against Benoit Saint-Denis, and he fights a guy that everyone thinks that he's going to lose, because this guy's hot, up and coming, undefeated, absolute beast, juggernaut. He goes in there, and for the first couple minutes, you're like, oh my God, DP's really going to lose here, and then he turns around and stamps his passport for fucking legendary status, right? And you watch it live, and it's incredible, and they interview him, and he hasn't changed. He's Dustin Poirier. He has his code and his values, and he sticks by them. And you can respect him for it. And so it's hard because Dustin's road is long. He's been doing, that's over 30 fights, right? It wasn't he didn't skyrocket in popularity. He grew over time, and it was long and arduous, and he had to work, and he had to keep showing up, and he had to lose, and then he had to come back and win. But I have so much respect for the guys that do that. It's just hard, man. And in a sport that's not really rewarding guys as well as others, it's even harder. So it must be tough for you with your athletes to be like, hey, look, you got to figure out the sauce. You guys got to work hard. You got to show up to training. You got to put everything into it. But you also have to understand that you are a brand.
Yeah. But
if you care about this becoming something.
Yeah. But what I tell them is that at the end of the day, you do you. Don't try to be anyone else. You do you. So if your values, your way of doing it, and the way you feel and you carry yourself, that's the way. Be yourself. Don't try to like do anything that it's not yourself. It's not you. Like it's not everyone is gonna be a Conor McGregor. It's not everyone that, like, people, you have to understand. Oh, I want to be. You're not going to, and you're not gonna make his money. But you know, because it takes some kind of character, some kind of persona, some kind of stance that you have to, you know, you have to carry yourself in a different way in order to make it to the stardom like he did. So you're not gonna be, and like it's just. It's not just, oh, I choose to be. No, you're not. You can't be. If you aren't, you're never going to be. If you aren't. Right. So don't try to be Gordon. Don't try to be Craig. Don't try to be like, if you're not funny, don't try to be funny, because the worst thing is people that try to be funny, that try hard. Don't try hard. Train hard, but don't try hard, please. You know, because it's horrible. And you have to understand that like, I tell, this is me telling my athletes, some of my athletes, I tell them, hey, if it's not you, don't even try. Don't even try, because people can sense that kind of fakeness, and that doesn't sit well. So, like, for instance, Nicholas is doing what he's doing, and he's one loss away from, you know, from sucking. Gordon, to his point, lost to Vini Magalhães in 2017, and he kept on being big. He kept on being big, you know? And Vini told him, hey, Gordon, leg locks don't work. And he went there, Gordon leg locked him, and he passed his guard. And he said, I told you it doesn't work. You know, and he won the fight. But Vini never made it to the... So it doesn't take you... Oh, even if you beat Gordon, or if you beat Nicholas, or if you beat Craig, or if you beat Conor McGregor like DP did, it's not... It doesn't mean you're going to be a star like them. It does not mean. You know, because you don't have it in you. And you have to understand that. And don't try... Like... You have to be content with what you're going to get, because not everyone was born to be a star. Right. And not everyone's going to be. And you have to be the 100% that you are able to be. If your 100% is here, then you're good.
Yeah.
But if the other guy's 50% is here and he is here, he's not as good as you, because you're 100%. You did everything that you could. He didn't. He can go here. You know? So that's what I tell them. Don't try to be what you are not. Be authentic. Be yourself. Do you. Please, I tell them all the time. That's why you have, like, for instance, Mika Galvão, Tainan Dalpra, and Jensen Gomez. Like, Jensen Gomez just beat Tainan Dalpra, and people don't talk about him because he doesn't talk about him. Because he doesn't post about him. He doesn't care. He likes his simple life. He doesn't want to be the next big thing, you know? And that's it. And on the other hand, so Mika Galvão is that polite kid, nice kid that's very polite to everyone. But when you see him on the mats, he's a freaking beast. Nobody ever saw what he does. Like, people what the hell is this kid doing? It's amazing. You're like, man, what the hell? You're like, oh my God, you mesmerized. You're like, oh my God, you're so impressed. And he's not forcing, because that's him. That's what he does. And then you have Fabricio André, who, like, fights beautifully. Beautifully. People like his persona. He wants to put it out there and all that stuff. So you have different characters. This is the beauty of jiu-jitsu. This is the beauty of the industry. This is the beauty of the community. Like, if everyone wants to be a lion, there won't be zebras, there won't be giraffes, there won't be elephants. You need all of them for the kingdom to work. You know, I don't know. Like, it's a discussion that will go further. It's more rhetoric, it's more philosophical, and we're gonna stay here forever if we do that. But at the end of the day, what I mean is, if you are a zebra, or if you are a lion, or if you are a freaking monkey, be the best monkey you can be. Like, be the best zebra you can be the best whatever you are that you can be. Don't try to be a lion, because you're not. It won't make sense, and people will, okay, you're not a lion. Don't try to be one. Like, we see you, we see your tail, we see your collars. You're not a lion. Be the best that you are because of what you are. You were made like that. Just improve. Don't change. Improve.
Get better.
Get better. Get better.
What do you look for as someone who manages talent in this industry, who understands jiu-jitsu to the level that you do, understands the nuances of gi and no gi, IBJJF, ADCC, WNO, all these different promotions, the opportunities that are now shown up in karate combat? I think they're doing like a fantastic job of bringing grappling to the center there.
A lot of awareness.
What do you look for when you're looking at an athlete and you're like, I want to manage that person. I want to help this person leverage their time and opportunity, get in front of more eyes, and help them grow their brand? What are those characteristics that you look for?
Honestly, I never asked any athlete to manage them. Never. None of my 51 athletes, I never asked any of them. They all came to me because I'm a fighter as well, and I still am a fighter. And I think that it would be kind of hypocritical of me. Oh, I would love to manage Nicholas because I think that I can help him. No. It's just I just want to surf his wave. That's not. Right. If every time an athlete calls me or texts me and say, "Hey, I would love to work with you," we jump on a phone call, and my only question is, how do you think I can help you? Because I want to know his perspective on my work. I want to know what his expectations would be. Because some of them say, I need to get some fights. Can you get me some fights? That's not what I do. I manage a career. I don't get you fights. I don't get you seminars. I don't get you sponsorship. This is not like that. I am not a demand generator. I'm a demand administrator. If they're not looking for you right now, and when we sign up a contract, they're not going to start looking for you then.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? They think that just signing the contract with Doria, now people are going to start like calling me. No, they won't. You have to do a lot of homework in order to get there because you have to catch their attention. And there are a lot of athletes that get a lot of attention, don't know how to deal with that. So they just don't don't pick up the phone. They don't answer their messages. So this is me doing everything that the athlete needs done that he can't do, that he doesn't know how to do. He doesn't know which shows to go to, which fights to pick or to accept, how to negotiate his purse and his bonuses. Hold on. I think my battery's dying. Hold on. Here.
Yep. You're good.
Saved by the bell. It was 1%.
We're good.
So
that was scary. But keep going. Yeah, they're
So like these guys, I tell them all the time. I will do everything that you don't want to do, and that you don't need to do, and then most of it you cannot even do. Sometimes they don't speak the language. Sometimes they don't know how to deal with numbers. Sometimes they don't know how to deal with people. They're so shy. I have athletes that I barely know their voices. They don't talk.
Right.
They just train. They're beasts. So I tell them, hey, everything that I can do to you, there's stuff that I cannot do. I can't eat for you. I can't rest for you. I can't train for you. You know, this is what I want you to do. And everything else I can do. And now let's learn your social media. Now let's learn your persona. Now let's learn how to behave, how to stand, how to dress. I do everything on that. How to behave at a dinner table. Mm-hmm. I sit with them and I say, man, just use this fork. Don't use that. And I'm always trying to show them how to behave in situations, because some of them never been to a dinner table. Yeah. Might not have ever been to a nice restaurant. And it's my job to help them as persons, as athletes, and as stars at some point. How to talk, how to like position themselves, how to sit, all that stuff. And not only that, like most of the athletes that I work with, they are open to learn new skills. Some of them who are not, they will, I'm not going to say they're going to be left behind, because I don't leave anyone behind, but they have to come to me and say, hey, Victor, I think I need some help here. I say, yeah, I tried a year ago, but you weren't listening. And I will help them the measure that they present themselves to be helped. But I don't go to an athlete and say, hey, I want to manage you. I can help you a lot. I don't do that.
Right.
I don't even know if that's right, but I don't do that at all. Like, they look for me, they reach out to me, and I ask them, how do you think I can help you? And depending on their answer, I will or I will not sign a contract with them.
So you helped orchestrate Vagner fighting on Karate Combat, right? Against Luke Griffith?
Yeah.
Can you how does a deal like that happen?
Yeah, it sounds like it doesn't make any sense. Like Vagner, when I told him, said it doesn't make no sense. I say, yeah.
I know. He told me. He's like, yeah, exactly. I got the call, and I was like, yeah, you're high. Why are we even talking about this? Absolutely stupid, man.
That was super funny. It happens all the time. The same way with Jonathan Gracie and Nicky Ryan. People at Atos said, "Big Victor, I don't think Jonathan is in a position to fight Nicky Ryan at this point." So okay, keep watching. And they train with him, and they thought it wouldn't, but I said, man, what I see, the way I see it, it's right on the spot. But anyway, so back to Vagner. I got this call from Karate Combat saying that, I need a guy to fight Luke Griffith, and the easy pick would be either Cyborg or Roosevelt Sauza, or freaking Gutenberg Pereira, but he wasn't training no-gi. So I had all these three big guys to fight him. And those would be the simple picks, the obvious picks. But my thought was, okay, so this is a pit fight. It's a pit. So it's a different setup. This is not going to be on Flow Grappling. So this is not going to be in any major platform. The event itself is kind of different from everything that we've been seeing. I was already following them, and I was seeing what they were doing. It's very interesting. It brings a lot of attention, but at the same point, it's very different from what we're used to. And I knew that winning or losing wouldn't make a lot of difference if you performed.
Right.
And I know that both Roosevelt and Cyborg, they would choose to win instead of performing. But Roosevelt fought Luke Griffith like a couple months before, and he lost to him. Cyborg never fought him, but he would choose to win instead of performing. I knew that Vagner, because of the difference of size and weight, Luke would be more confident and would open up. And as he did, and he started smashing Vagner in the first 2 minutes. He smashed Vagner in the first 2-3 minutes.
Didn't look great.
Yeah, it didn't look good at all. Yeah. Vagner is a guy that can deal with that stuff.
Yep.
I know this. He knows this. He's very calm. He's very composed when under pressure. This is one of the principles of jiu-jitsu. That's why I admire Vagner a lot. He can deal with pressure, and he knows how to deal with that. It looked like the perfect storm for Vagner, even though only I was seeing that. Not even Vagner was seeing that. And I said, okay, it's in Weston. It's in backyard. He's going to drive there. It's easy. His family is going to be there. It's going to be awesome. And you have two other guys from New Wave. You had Big Dan and you have Elena Crevar. So there will be a tension in that. There will be a tension because the guys from New Wave are there. So there will be some attention. So my train of thought was, if Vagner can stand with him for 2-3 minutes and he gets tired, then Vagner is going to be able to do his thing. And then he's going to put on a show because Vagner knows how to put on a show.
Yep.
And that's exactly what he did. I just didn't know that you would have to go through hell in the first 3 minutes in order to overcome that shit. But I knew that if he went to hell, he would be the one to get out of there.
But that's so smart because look at on the business side of this, right?
I'm going to get there now.
See it.
I'm going to get there now.
Well, because the Meregali thing happens, right? Because of this. Exactly.
But the target wasn't Meregali.
Right.
The target was Giancarlo Bodoni.
Mm-hmm.
Because Giancarlo Bodoni is in his category and is the 80cc champion at 88 kilos.
Yeah.
So I've been asking for that match for the last 2 years. I want Vagner and Giancarlo for the last year and a half. I want Vagner and Giancarlo. They fought at Worlds No Gi. But Giancarlo barely made it to New Wave back then, and he's a completely different animal now.
Totally. Yeah.
And I wanted Vagner to fight him bad because I know that Vagner can beat him. And I'm not talking about because Vagner is on my team. No. It's not about rooting. It's about the athlete and his career. And I have to separate that, and people need to understand. I hope you understand that. I'm not trying to make my teammate win. I'm trying to make my athlete grow in his career. It's two different things. I have athletes that fight other of my athletes, and I'm not rooting for any of them, but I know what I want for each one's career. Like Cyborg fought Henrique Cecconi. They're both my athletes. I knew that if Cecconi beat Cyborg, that would be great for his career. If Cyborg beat Cecconi, it would be like another stamp on his career because he beat another youngster again. And they were supposed to fight at World's No Gi Absolute final. And they didn't because they got out of there because of Usada.
Right.
So that never happened. So that fight made a lot of sense for both guys' career. The same thing with Vagner. It made a lot of sense for his career because I know that if he beats Luke or if he performs well against Luke, I'm gonna have a better leverage at asking for Bodoni.
Is the compensation fair in karate
Money-wise?
combat, like relative to other promotions?
You mean money-wise?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I wouldn't say about the same, and I wouldn't ask for the same because I know that karate combat just barely started, and it's wrong. It's wrong on my end to demand a huge pay, or a proportional pay. I have to be understanding enough. Okay, I want to make it into the event. I want my athlete to be there at the event. So I'm willing to sacrifice part of his purse, part of the money that he usually makes in order to make it to the event and to help the event grow because I'm not trying to take advantage from the event. I'm actually trying to grow the event. The more the events grow, the more business I have coming towards me.
I was listening to Dana White was on Lex Friedman's podcast recently, and they talked about Joe Rogan did 13 UFC pay-per-views for free. Never even asked for $1.
Yeah. So that's exactly what I would do if an event comes to me and said, I cannot pay you enough I cannot pay your athlete the purse that he usually gets, but I need a push. I need a push on my event. I know that his name is going to bring a lot of attention. We're doing this deal. So I want to know what platform is it going to be streamed at, and how much money they're making in the gate. They're expecting to make in the gate and all that stuff. I was a pay-per-view, all that stuff. Once I have that information, I will find the athlete that will suit for the show. And usually the event, the show, they trust my pick. They understand. When I mentioned Vagner, one of the guys said, "Oh, Viktor," but Vagner said, "I'll tell you what, man, you don't have to pay his premium purse, and he doesn't need a flight. He doesn't need a hotel. It's going to be cheap for you." And right. I need him to be there too, because this fight makes sense to his career, even though he doesn't know that yet, and now he understands what we did. And he appreciates that a lot, and that's why he has a lot of opportunities coming towards him since that day. In a very small event in the backyard of a mansion in Western Florida, against a guy 20 years younger, 40 pounds heavier, and probably a foot higher, taller.
But see, I think this is the type of thing that makes someone like yourself special for athletes to work with, is because that is not something that you can expect an up-and-coming athlete to recognize.
No,
and nor should they. Right? It's beyond. Expect. It's a lifetime of you doing this. It's a lifetime. So the experience, you read that situation like that, and unless you've spent as much time doing this the way that you have, and you understand the physicality of the sport, you actually do it. You, from Carlson's gym all the way to now, like, there's too many intangibles that are just part of who you are to where you can read that like that and it makes sense. And this is why guys like yourself, or like Mick Maynard, who can do Mick Maynard's job?
No,
right?
No one else.
Who can do it?
They
can't, because he's done it since UFC. Like they do it so intrinsically, and there's so much value in that. So it's got to be hard. Like, they got to trust in you. That's hard as an athlete, right? Because you think you see it one way. You think you know what you're talking about.
It is hard,
and we've all been there as athletes, but we don't.
So I had a very special conversation with one of my athletes a couple of nights ago at here at home. He came for a seminar, and then I said, "Okay, come spend the night at my place, and because we need to talk." So he came here. I'm talking about Kaynan Duarte. Mm-hmm. So Kaynan came here. We had a very long conversation about his future in this year, and we started talking about one thing. And when I finished talking to him, his life was completely upside down. I said, "We're not gonna do any of that. We're gonna do this." He wanted to do A, B, C, D. I made him do X, Y, Z, and made him understand that would be like the best choice. And he understood that, and we're doing that. And in the upcoming weeks, you're gonna have a lot of great news and big news from Kaynan.
That's exciting. I mean,
yeah, it's super exciting. I'll tell you what, I love my job. I love what I do. Yeah. And I love the outcome for the athletes. I love how they feel, and I love that they are finding in their the pleasure that they have and the fun that they have fighting jiu-jitsu, fighting grappling, and they can make a living in a very decent one.
Well, they're lucky to have you in their corner and to display the expertise and the knowledge that you have, because you're able to see something that's withdrawn from their perspective, but valuable. And that's hard as an athlete. You can get tunnel vision. You can think that you know more than you do, or that you have it more figured out than you do, but it's very difficult to see business opportunities. This is why so few athletes are known for their life. Because it's, marketing is not a skill taught with gifted athleticism. No. It's learned through experience and time. So
yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Well, Viktor, I'm so excited to see, obviously, the Meregali and Vagner matchup, but everything else that you have in the works. I mean, you really seem to be spearheading this thing and putting great things together. So I appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to chat and communicate on this stuff. We'll definitely have to do this again in the future.
I would love to, and I thank you for the opportunity, Abe. Thank you for reaching out. Thank you for having me for such a long time, and for giving me the space and the platform to talk about not only the business of jiu-jitsu, but the sport of jiu-jitsu and the fundamentals of it, because I love it too much. I can talk about that all day.
Well, we will do it again.
I see that you do too.
Absolutely.
That's good. Yeah.
Thank you, Viktor.
Thank you so much, Abe.
Hey friends, Abe here. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode and sticking around to the very end. If you want to support it, leave a 5-star review on Spotify or check out www.maynideapodcast.com, join the mailing list, and stay up to date on all things The Mayn Idea, from future guests, sponsorship opportunities, products that I'm using to help me perform at my best, invites to ask me anything, and any upcoming pertinent information to the show. I cannot do this show without you. It is literally why I show up each week and put these episodes together. So thank you from the bottom of my heart from being part of the community. I hope you have a great day.